Welcome to the Filipino American Woman Project podcast show, brought to you by our family on biasboba.com.
We're your co-hosts, Jen Amos
and Nani Smith.
After 3 seasons of sharing stories for Pinays by Pinays, we've gained the knowledge and language to articulate our experiences, and now we're ready to tell our own.
As we venture off into the world of business partnership, we want to bring you along for the ride.
Keep listening to hear how we explore our Pinay identities together as podcasters, content creators, and entrepreneurs.
Now, let's get into the show.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode here at the TFAW Project. I'm your creator and co-host, Jen Amos. And as always, I have my co-host and co-creator with me, Nani Smith. Nani, welcome back to the TFAW Project.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. And we are so excited because we have a special guest that I wasn't expecting, our resident book nerd, Caitilin Damacion. Caitilin, welcome back to the TFAW Project.
So happy to be here again. I like how we're talking in this voice right now. I'm really feeling it.
I love that. That's wonderful. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I've had friends tell me that I have a professional voice. Like they'll say Jen, you can turn that off now and just you don't have to do that. And I remember
normal. You're
yeah.
This is normal.
No, this is who I am now. You see my hair? I'm glowing now, and this is how I talk. Okay, let them know that Jen 2.0 has arrived, and she's here to stay.
Yes, I am. Yes, everything that Caitilin said. She's my new PR person because she just makes me sound so good.
That's right.
Yeah, so we are incredibly excited. So at the time of this recording, we are also on Instagram Live, and one thing that Nani and I, and now Caitilin, have decided to do is every first Friday of the month, we are going to be going on Instagram Live. And it's just going to be a great opportunity for all of you to see us unfiltered on IG Live itself. We can't say, hey, Dennis, edit that. It's there now. I can mess up and I can stutter and it just is what it is. However, once the IG Live is done, we are going to be publishing the edited version, which is what we're recording here on Zencastr. And y'all can't see it, but we're actually recording on screen. So I'm going to try to hold my... Actually, I can't do it. I'm going to mess up something if I move my camera. But basically, I'm recording on my computer right now. And so we are doing the official recording here. But all that being said, today we wanted to, I'm not saying we don't have an agenda, but we kind of have a lot of things to throw at all of you today. And so we're just going to dive into it, share some updates with you, share some exciting things, and how you all can continue to stay engaged with us and hang out with us and all that good stuff. So first and foremost, I want to remind everyone that whether you're watching us on Instagram Live or whether you're listening to us or watching this on YouTube, this show is possible because of our biasboba.com supporter and members. And so biasboba.com is basically our bank account, to make the show possible. And for people who really enjoy the show and get a lot of value from it and want to show your gratitude, all it takes is going on biasboba.com and buying us a minimum of 1 cup of boba, or if you want to support us long-term, to become a member. And so here's a couple of the benefits when you decide to support us with 1 cup of boba. So if you support us for 1 cup of boba, or, if you decide to come back from time to time again and continue to support us by 1, 2, 3 cups of boba, etc. We've had people support us as much as 20 cups of boba. But in doing that one-time support, you're able to get access to our monthly book club. And so our monthly book club is welcome to anyone, like I said, who supports us on biasboba.com. We are fortunate to have our resident book nerd, Caitilin, who was really the catalyst for us to start this to begin with. Nani and I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for Caitilin. So lucky us, we have Caitilin with us live right now. So Caitilin, I want to hear kind of your initial thoughts about the book club and how it's been so far going on this journey with us.
I think, I started as a fan and as a listener and a supporter of my best friend, and then I, kind of engaged as a guest once or twice prior, I think, to the book club. But something that's been really beautiful about the book club is being able to engage in community. And so this is such a tight knit space where you guys are so close with so many of the people who subscribe or follow or reach out. You guys are individually texting or emailing. but it's kind of just turned it into a nice, neat little opportunity to create, the Discord channel, to create, all these different talks. And like what had originally started with us giving thoughts on a book, you guys opened up, into a chat where other people who have read the book can come in, give their thoughts. We can talk to them. It makes it just feel like there's that much more impact and meaning happening in this space, which is something that you guys know was happening anyways, but it's nice to have that, direct effect and to really like see your labor of love coming to fruition and seeing all these people chime in and also, give their thoughts and help educate you guys in turn as you're also educating the community. So it's just really nice to have a space now that everyone can share and kind of, give back and forth. And I think it's so beautiful that happened around books and conversation related to books. Because that's just really like my heart, like chef's kiss, like learning in fun ways is just like what I'm all about. And the fact that, this is, you guys continually find ways to do that. So the podcast, the book club, the Discord channel. So it's really nice that you're continually engaging people in a thoughtful way that remains tied to the mission of educating and boosting and lifting up, Filipino American women. So always have to support that.
Well, thank you, Caitlin. That means so much. And I know for you, you mentioned this in one of our past book clubs, like early on, that this is personal for you. You used to read a lot with your dad, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think in my love of learning, and I've mentioned this, like I really do feel that knowledge is power. And that comes from coming from a Filipino immigrant family where, my grandparents didn't speak the language. They didn't speak English. They had to come and learn that. They had to educate themselves on learning that language, navigating this space, navigating this country that was inhospitable to them, and being honestly intimidated to do so, as anyone could imagine. And then having 7 kids, all of whom didn't make it past high school except for my father. So he went to the local community college, Solano Community College in Fairfield. Luckily, he had an English teacher who recognized the talent in him and helped him get a scholarship to UC Irvine. So someone who was born in poverty to immigrant parents, pre-civil rights, was a child laborer, as I speak about a lot, ended up being able to go to UC Irvine on scholarship, got his master's degree in literature and poetry, and was able to see the country, see the world, have all these new opportunities open up to him through learning and through reading, because that was really the way he learned how to express himself and articulate himself in a country and in a space where he felt there wasn't really a lane or an avenue for him. So he really took to words as a way to like gain mastership over education in a way that education had, as we're all here because we don't know so much about our background. Like imagine, being that first generation or, being here before civil rights. So really grappling with oppression in a way that both informs you and can inform others. So that he passed that down to me, and I'm here to just like preach that to anyone who will listen. Like, you guys, like if you pick up a book, you're going to be so much stronger after you finish reading that. Like literally, I do mean that literally. Like no matter what you take away from it, like you can problem solve just by putting a sentence together. That's you problem solving. And so for us to be able to problem solve in these critical thinking ways, but specifically related to our own identity and history, is just, there's nothing more powerful than that. So I just love that we're doing that. And I love that I'm passing that forward. And because I have this relationship with my father, who has also passed on, it's a beautiful way, I think, to keep his life and so many lives alive and in conversation. Jen, your father, your papa, you know what I mean? So we're all keeping them in conversation and lifting them up by just, reading and being able to share their stories. And that's something, to bring it full circle, we started with America's in the Heart. And that's something that Carlos Belosan talked about a lot in that book. Not to be like a buzzkill or to like give away the book, but everyone dies. Everyone dies. Literally everyone dies. And so much of what he talked about was like, okay, well, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to make our stories live on. And I feel like that's what we're doing right here today. So I love that.
Yeah. All the snaps. Nani is our official snapper because I can't snap. Caitlin, that was amazing. And thank you for elaborating on your relationship with your dad. I learned something new again, and kind of hearing like why you do what you do today. So thank you for that. Nani, she's your best friend. So I imagine this must be such a fun experience to do with her for this book club.
Yeah. Before I found you and like this community and started being a part of this podcast, she was like someone who I felt an affinity with instantly when I met her in high school because we're both half white and half Filipino. And normally, at least around here, what you see in half white and half Filipino kids is like the mom is Filipino and the dad is white. But for both of us, it's the opposite. And we're the only ones who we know like that. But yeah, it's really nice to hear you elaborate on your relationship with your dad too, because that's not something that we talk about really that often. And I didn't get the pleasure of like really getting to know him before he passed away. And so it's nice for me to learn about you through just hearing about your relationship with him. And it so explains like why you're such a good storyteller and why you're such a good narrator and how you are able to be so poetic every time you speak, because you have this relationship that you developed with reading and with books that has allowed you to just like have this whole world inside your own imagination. And it's, yeah, I just feel really lucky to like share that space with you and for you to like even come on here and do this with us and elaborate and be a part of our like narrative writing that we're doing. So yeah, I think it all comes full circle. And with the book club specifically, I love this like collective learning style. And I love that we have so many different ways once you join the book club to engage. Like you were talking about, our Discord conversations is like a place where we can just like share our thoughts and stuff in between recordings and start conversations about just little tangents that we go off of based on our takeaways. And it's so beautiful that we can do that in real time too. So it's not like we have to wait a month until we all get on our Zoom call to share these things. We can, you know, like you said, you have instant access to us on a daily basis. So I think that that is just a really special place that we are carving for ourselves here. And I think also a lot of people join just for the conversation. Like we don't need you to read the book again. If you want to just join to like see what our takeaways are and learn the book that way, we're giving you the option to do that. So there's really no excuse not to join.
And I love that. I love that you guys have made it, like Jen will always say, something like, you know what I mean? It's not even about like you reading the book. It's just about us all being here to learn and to have a conversation. And just even having that conversation provides the learning space. So the fact that you guys open up to all levels of readership and just like interest is just, it speaks to the power of the two of you as podcast hosts, that people feel just so comfortable gravitating towards you and just like spilling, you know, all of the, myself included, like just like spilling their heart out and saying, oh my God, this means so much to me because this is the only space where I can do that. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence. We're best friends for, you know, half of our lives at this point. And she's learning so much about my father and like my past history here in this space here today for the first time. And it just speaks a lot to how safe you guys have made people feel just by being so honest and transparent yourself. So snaps to you guys.
Oh, you can snap also? Oh, I love it.
Jen, I'm upset that you can't. Give a little clap. There you go.
This is like my snap. It doesn't even sound like a clap. It sounds like a clap. It sounds like a clap. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Thank you for saying that, Caitlin. And it's like every time I hear that people feel safe with us, I don't know. I don't take that for granted. Like it means a lot to me that we can provide this kind of space. And for me, it just comes from that place of wanting to have had that space for myself growing up. And I imagine that a lot of us who gravitate to the show feel that way. You know, they feel like this is sort of their, you know, Panay oasis to just let loose and be expressive and finally just kind of like, you know, like let out a sigh of relief knowing that your voice matters here. And it's interesting because we've been doing this show via podcasting for 3 years. And at one point, Nani and I were talking about possibly renaming it. But, you know, thanks to the feedback of our community and even just how I feel about the name of our show, I just want to continue to maintain the name, the Filipino American Woman Project, because I think it's such a radical act to just create that space. And before I thought, oh, the Filipino American Woman Project is such a long name. And then I thought, but you know what? We're allowed to take that space. Absolutely. Like we are allowed, like this is our show. It's our choice, you know, and anyone who resonates with the show. And what we have often found too, is that you don't have to be Filipino to even be a part of the show. we have many people who gravitate toward this and are part of our book club. And it's just great. I'm just incredibly grateful. So thank you for that feedback. And it affirms to me that we're doing something good. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I could say. I feel like even I'm going to say I'm speechless, but I just said a lot. But you know what I mean.
Now I'm speechless.
Now I'm speechless. That's as far as I'm going to go. Well, all that being said, Nani, any closing thoughts before we go on to our next announcement of the day?
No, I think you wrapped that up beautifully. Just to continue on how you opened, what you guys will find on biasboba.com is not only the option to join the book club, but also the option to bias boba if you just want to support Filipino-led media, or become a member to gain access to our private podcast, the R-rated version of the Filipino American Woman Project show called Chismes with Jen and Nani. So there's also that. But other than that, you did that wrap up really beautifully. So we can move on.
Awesome. Thank you, Nani and Caitlin. Well, we are really excited because on the last day of Filipino American History Month, October 31st, 2022, which also happened to be Halloween, not that that's really relevant to this next conversation, but we had an article feature come out. So shout out to sdvoyager.com. Nani and I were featured in a recent article, and it was really our opportunity to get everyone up to date with where the show has come from and, you know, where it is now and where it's headed. Yes, Angeline. And let me know if I'm pronouncing your name right. So I'm looking at the comments right now. I see the comments in my peripheral here. Yes, in case you're asking about our Rated R show, if you become a member on biasboba.com, biasboba.com, becoming a member means you're showing your monthly or annual support to our show. And that's the other thing I didn't mention earlier. So I'm glad that we brought this up. So if you decide to become a member, Angeline? Okay. Angeline.
Give us a thumbs up if we're saying that right.
Let us know if we're saying
I think it's Angeline.
I think it's Angeline. Like my dad's name is Angelo, but Angeline. Okay, yes. I think we're right because she's giving us hearts, right?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Angeline.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you for the feedback. Really appreciate the feedback. So thank you. And so basically, if you decide to support us monthly or annually, you will have, in addition to the book club, which you'll have access to, you will also, Nani, you got her pronunciation right.
Oh, perfect. See, I told you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the confirmation.
Yeah. So when you join us on biasboba.com as a member, not only do you get access to our book club, you also get access to our private podcast show, which is called Chismes with Jen and Nani. And so if you are looking at our Instagram feed, you may notice that we switch back and forth from TFAW Project episodes to Chismes with Jen and Nani. So the Chismes with Jen and Nani episodes, those are the ones that you get access to on biasboba.com. So all those quotes or, hints at what we're talking about, you can have access to all of that when you join us on biasboba.com. So hopefully that answers your question. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. For anyone that's joining us, we're basically doing a recording for the TFAW Project. This recording is actually coming out next Friday, but the full version is going to be taken down, and only some parts of this conversation will be available on Chismes with Jen and Nani. So the fact that you all are watching us live right now, you get to see us in all our glory and all that good stuff. So, all right, moving on. We have recently been featured on the sdvoyager.com, and I'm just really proud of this article. And if you all want to get access to this article, just go ahead and visit the bio link in our Instagram profile. And it's one of the first links within the link. So once you click the bio link, the first link you see in our link tree will be the link to this article on SD Voyager. And it basically talks about everything, like our whole entire experience of having done the show together and where we plan on heading. And so just to give you an idea of what this article covers, they ask us to introduce ourselves and our story. I'm just scrolling through the article right now. We get into, what our path has been like overall and what the challenges we had to overcome to, be where we are today. And we also talk about what Nani and I are doing as business partners for the show, and also our services, our offerings, and many, many ways to contact us. Nani, I want to ask you, what was your favorite part of writing this article together?
It was just kind of taking like a timestamp, again, the same way that we did with our academic paper that we did with Stacy. and kind of just reviewing everything that we had done with the project and like where it started and identifying all the milestones and just kind of stopping to take a beat and look back at everything that we've done and all these spaces that we've created and how they continue to like flourish and just unfold. And we're creating a really beautiful story. It's just nice to have the opportunity to stop and take a timestamp on what's going on, like I said in our newsletter a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I was really excited to do this with you because there's only been one or two occasions where people have interviewed us together. Oftentimes, people ask you individually or ask me individually. So it was really great for us to use this opportunity to, like you said, get a timestamp of, where we're at right now and, where we want to be headed together, as content creators, podcasters, and business partners. Shout out to Rachel. Thank you for sharing the article. So if anyone wants to know the article, it's in IG Live in the chat. Just scroll up. Rachel had shared it. So thanks, Rachel. You're totally on it right now. I love it.
I know.
I was like, I would do that, but I feel like something might fall over and I'm just
we have too much going on right now.
Trying not to like touch anything like right now. One part of the article that I want to talk about with you, Nani, is the question where it asked, let's dig a little deeper into the story. Has it been an easy path overall? And if not, what were the challenges you had to overcome? And one of the main things, there's two things I want to mention here, but first is the imposter syndrome. And interestingly enough, I think the imposter syndrome, the phrase itself, comes up quite often in our community. I actually wanted to go out of my way to actually look up the definition of it. And when I did, it actually made a lot of sense. And so in case anyone is ever wondering, if anyone is curious to know what the imposter syndrome is, it was coined by Joe Langford and Pauline Ross Clance. And if I'm wrong, please, anyone let me know. But they describe the imposter syndrome is a psychological occurrence in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And in this article, we delve into some examples on how Nani and I have individually experienced the imposter syndrome. And I'm curious now for you today, Nani, like, how do you feel about the imposter syndrome? Do you feel like you've maybe evolved from it or you can identify it better, especially because we can name it, for what it is?
Yeah, I don't think I've moved past it at all. I think it still very much haunts my life, like on a daily basis. But what I have also come to find as I have like increased my awareness about it and just even in other people, taken notice to how it manifests for them too, is like even the best of the best or the people that you think are the most confident and just secure in what they're doing, feel it from time to time. So it just kind of makes it for people to talk about it and for us to, highlight it in an article like this is just helping to really normalize it so that it doesn't seem like such a daunting, like a thing that's haunting me. It's more so just like something that you live with and something that you go through, something that you feel sometimes, but it's not permanent,
Yeah, I agree with you. If anything, I have learned to reframe the way I look at imposter syndrome and I actually see it as like a little nudge or a little reminder that, hey, you're growing, you're doing something new. This is uncomfortable and that's normal. And it's uncomfortable, but you don't have to sit there. You don't have to stay in your comfort zone. You're actually doing something good and you just have to lean into it.
Exactly.
I'm curious with you, Caitlin. My perception of you is you're a very confident woman and very articulate, but so that's my assumption. But you tell me, have you had experience with the imposter syndrome? And if so, we'd love to hear about it.
I was just thinking, like, when you were prepping to ask Nani this question, I was thinking to myself, like, essentially what you just said, like, it is helpful to be able to identify it and to even just know that there is such a thing as imposter syndrome. Like, when I first heard of this word, I was like, oh my God, thank God other people are feeling this way. You know what I mean? Like, thank goodness I'm not the only one, like, questioning, like, should I be here? From being in school and, starting, like, a class that you feel like, oh my God, I'm really, like, punching above my weight. Everyone here seems to, know what's going on and what the professor wants and I don't. Or starting in a new work environment and being the youngest person in the room or being the only woman in the room and thinking like, oh shit, like, I need to like make sure I'm doing my homework and coming correct. And even when, you mentioned like even when you do your homework or you do feel prepped and you do feel confident and then still feeling like, oh my gosh, is this going to be good enough? But I think something, and even as a mom, I'm sure this is something that we can most definitely identify with, especially as a new mom, being a new mom for the first time. You question everything all day long. And I think continually being a parent.
Yeah.
But something to note, and this is something that we talked a lot about, and something that I always tell parents, especially mothers who are about to be moms, that if you aren't questioning yourself, you aren't concerned enough. And therefore, you aren't prepped. You aren't going to be confident. You'll never be ready. If you're not asking those questions and being a critical thinker, then you aren't doing it right. There is, though, a caveat to where I think, especially for women, where we will ask too many questions and we'll go down the rabbit hole of like, okay, well, it's possible that I'm not doing this right, even though I'm doing my damnedest and my hair is like, my edges are sweat out and I haven't eaten a meal in 2 days and like, I'm covered in, poop because I've been like, just like putting all my attention into you and I haven't showered.
Real
in 2 days.
shit.
Like literally real shit, literally. And
no pun, pun intended.
Oh yeah.
All the
like,
puns.
Just we bitching on is essentially what we're saying. And it's like,
yeah,
you feel still like, oh my God, am I doing enough? Like, am I still doing it right? And it's just like, at the end of the day, bro, like you just have to figure out your limits and your boundaries for yourself. And I think that comes from questioning and always being inquisitive about a situation, even if you feel comfortable. Like, yes, I do feel comfortable as a mom now because I've been doing this for 4 years and like, I know my child and I've come to understand our relationship, but every day it's something new. And every day I have to grapple with like, am I prepared to confront this? What is the best way to do that? But the best way to do that only comes after asking yourself, how do I do this? So it's important to ask yourself these questions and to an extent have imposter syndrome because it keeps you humble. And I feel like anyone who doesn't ever question, anyone who just always assumes like, I'm meant to be here, I'm meant to take up this space, like I'm meant to do this, that, and the other. I don't think there's such a thing. I think we should always be questioning that, but to be very mindful of like at a certain point, when does it get exhausting to be questioning yourself? Because it gets so exhausting to get down on yourself. Like who wants to be depressed? None of us want to be depressed when it happens. It kind of like sneaks up on you out of nowhere. But I think it's important to know your limits of, okay, my starting point is asking these questions. Where is my ending point? And we should all identify what is our ending point at a certain level or at a certain amount of, wait, when am I going to say enough is enough? I have to be decisive. I have to feel like whether or not this is the best decision, it's the decision I'm moving forward with. And then I'll figure it out from there. And the next set of questions will come. But
that part,
let's fucking do it one step at a time, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, I love that. And also to add on that is like how we question ourselves. So instead of like, oh, can I do this? Like, am I capable? More so framing it as, how do I do it? Or how am I going to go about this?
Yeah, I love that. I second everything you all said. And like you were saying, Caitlin, it's a way to keep you humble. I also think it's like, it's an ego check, right? It's like, hey, you got to check your ego. Like, are you trying to act superior? Are you having a superiority complex, in this situation? And, being able to like kind of reframe our mindset to venture in this next feeling, in this feeling of the imposter syndrome, being humble. I'm trying to articulate myself. Am I making sense? Like just being like entering, being humble and open and curious. And I think that's really what we're talking about here. And I think for me, I just feel very proud of us for making it this far on the show. And I think Angel had mentioned to us in our Instagram 5-day reflection series, which we'll touch upon a little later. She had mentioned something about, oh crap, I like lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with that.
Look, there's a lot of chatting going on in those cohorts, in those DMs. So it's only natural that your mind got lost when you're trying to recall one of them.
Yes. Okay. You are correct. And we'll get into this a little later in case anyone's curious, like what reflection series, where? So Angel had said to us, thank you guys for being consistent with this show. And our consistency is not on accident. I mean, although I'm not like a seasoned podcaster, I haven't been in this space since podcasting has started. In the 3 years that I have been podcasting, I have seen people pod fade. And pod fade basically means that people just like kind of ghost their own shows and they don't tell their audience like where they went. And I feel like the fact that we haven't pod faded, the fact that we are still here, it's really a testament to Nani and I and our desire to be consistent with the show and also to grow with all of you. I think that if we weren't constantly evolving, this show can get monotonous and boring and, feel like we're lacking a sense of purpose really easily. And so the fact that we are willing to constantly butt heads with the imposter syndrome, I actually think is a good thing because it prompts us to want to continue growing and more importantly, doing it together, which I think is a very vulnerable thing to do. I think if anyone feels any bit of insecurity, it's very easy to just isolate ourselves and try to deal with it on our own. But what you and I have done, Nani, is we've leaned into it together and we've addressed our issues and our worries and our fears and our insecurities together. And I do believe that that is part of the reason why we've been able to be a consistent show. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, it has not been easy at all. It's especially over the last year since I got pregnant basically and had a baby, it's become quite difficult to be consistent and to even find the time and the space to sit down without a baby crawling all over me or yelling in my ear, aka the mic and your guys' ears. So even just finding space like this to do this is a challenge every single time we do it. So it's humbling to know that people are still willing to stay with us as we stumble through this time in our lives where Jen and I both have a lot going on outside of the podcast, personally, professionally, and that our family here is still engaged and still willing to kind of take whatever we're willing to put down. So yeah, we just are really appreciative of you guys and we love you so much.
And yes, I think it's important to note, Jen, how you said you guys together have been going through this journey and you've been very vulnerable and you have, worked through that in front of an audience and doing full circle as we love to do is when I was saying earlier, you created this safe space. And I think that is particularly why you guys have been able to be consistent is because you guys have gone through this journey together. So it's you guys were keeping each other accountable each week or each episode. We still have so much more to learn. And then other people who are also going through that same journey. Myself, so many other listeners are okay, I have work to do for myself that I can do listening to you guys and doing this journey all together. So the fact that this is first and foremost a space where you guys started with, your imposter syndrome, saying okay, to what extent am I a Filipino American woman? How do I figure this out? You started with that question. That question became, growth, building, consistency, and it turned into, an entire community learning to identify what it is. And I think what's so interesting is that in some ways we have kind of identified what it is to be a Filipino American woman. And what we have identified is that it can mean so many things. After just finishing, Latinos of Asia, we really come to the conclusion that we have an identity crisis, which if you own it, isn't a crisis at all. It's actually an opportunity. So it's really cool how this has been very much a project, a scientific, historical learning experiment. You guys are now in the growth phase of you guys had this hypothesis, you played around with it, you experimented, you did research, you got your feedback, you got your study groups, and now you've come out with these results that are just so cool to see. You say you guys have only done this for 3 years and it just feels so long now. And now you guys are in museums, you guys are getting published. I think we have only just seen the tip of the iceberg for the two of you and for the Filipino culture in general. And I just think it's so cool that I'm going to say it here right now that in 5 years, you guys, these are going to be Filipina media moguls who are really going to be at the forefront. I think of what we're about to see. Netflix is going to start coming to you guys, PBS, KQED. People are going to want to know more about Filipino Americans, and the fact that you guys have been doing this consistently for so long. You guys are now a validated, substantial, you guys are thought leaders in our community. And I think just all the snaps to you guys for doing that, especially as women, that's just so cool. And I just love to see you guys getting recognized. And I just can't wait to see what is going to come out of you guys. What else do you have hiding up there up your sleeves? Jen has new hairstyles apparently every week. Nani's been, experimenting. Sometimes she has the buns, sometimes not. Is Hero going to be here? Is he not? So many surprises, so many questions.
Shouldn't she be a motivational speaker, you guys? Yeah. Shouldn't she do this for a living?
Yeah. You should just hang out whenever Nani and I go live.
Yeah, just background. I just do everything you guys are saying. Just keep it up.
Yeah. Thank you. This is a random topic, but since you brought it up, the reason why I have my hair down now is because if anyone has...
Let me explain.
It's just looking so bouncy.
Thank you.
So voluminous.
Yeah. if anyone had followed us very early on, I had side cuts. So I shaved both sides of my head and I even have an undercut. And this year I had decided, I was like, you know what? Like now that things are being normal again and people are going out, like I think I'm ready to just like stop shaving my head and like fully grow it out and all that. So part of what I realize is in order to hide, the awkwardness of the hair growing out, I have to like part it a certain way. So it looks like it has a lot of volume, but it's mainly because I've like combed it and curled it in a way that makes it look like that. So thank you for noticing.
I feel like this was intentional.
This is very intentional.
It is working.
Yeah, no, it looks really good.
Thank you. Thank you,
You
ladies.
are just glowing.
I appreciate
Oh
it.
my
I also
God.
put on makeup today, so there's that.
Okay, next IG Live, we're all wearing wigs.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
if you can recommend a website for wigs, I
will
will.
absolutely. And I actually want one that's in the haircut of.
She's like, I
Dr.
actually
Amy.
have
Yeah,
it pulled
I
up
actually
right
have
now.
it.
Let me just forward you the link.
Like I
her,
bookmarked it.
her haircut. Dr. Abby.
Dr. Abby,
I'm
yes.
loving the sassy little haircut that she has for us to talk about like empowerment and like stepping into our lane. I feel like I want a haircut like that to have that conversation.
Yes.
Like,
True.
something that's like
It's like Kris Jenner vibes.
yeah, exactly. Like very
Oh my gosh, yes.
professional and ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since we are talking about Dr. Abby, this is the perfect opportunity to talk about our next topic, which is the next book we have decided to do for our book club. So as a reminder, if you support us a minimum of 1 cup of boba on biasboba.com, you will get all the information you need to be a part of our monthly book club. We call it Chismis with Jen and Nani Monthly Book Club. And so the Chismis with Jen and Nani comes from our private podcast show on biasboba.com called Chismis with Jen and Nani. But anyway, every month since this year, we realized that initially we started our book club like once a quarter, like we did it haphazardly. And we're like, oh, hey, we should probably do a book club. And then as people started to join us, we realized, oh, let's make this a monthly thing. And so really it's been probably half of this year so far that we've been doing this on a monthly basis. And we have decided to do it every third Fridays of the month. Of course, given certain schedules, we will let you all know ahead of time if we need to do it the week before, the week after, or what have you. And so our next book club is going to be the third Friday of November. I don't have that date in front of me. Give me 1 second.
I think it's the 18th, right?
Is it? Okay.
Oh, the
I'm gonna
28th. Maybe the 28th.
Okay. I'm going to pull up our newsletter that just came out titled A Litany for Our Culture's Survival. So thank you, Nani, for writing the opening message of this. So our next book club, according to our latest newsletter, which once again, if you're watching us via IG Live, you can go to the bio link of our Instagram and click on that, and you will see our latest newsletter that came out today at the time of this recording, Friday, November 4th, 2022. But we are pretending that it's Friday, November 11th right now, by the way, wink, wink. So anyway, the third book club is going to take...
Because we're recording for the podcast.
Okay. Yeah. So... actually, that's a great question, and I will address that right now, Caitlin.
Okay, there we go.
So
there we go.
I will address that right now, since we do have some listeners sometimes assume that our episodes come out or our recording is done the day an episode comes out. And the thing is, because Nani and I have busy lives, and the way that we're able to get out quality episodes out for you all is we have to record in advance. Because what happens is, even though we're inviting people IG Live right now, like we are showing you our pre-recording right now, what has to happen is once we get the raw files, we send it to Dennis, our editor. So shout out to Dennis.
Shout
Dennis
out to
does
Dennis.
the-
We love you.
Yes.
Don't
So
edit
he does.
that out.
Yeah, don't do that, Dennis. Dennis is very modest, and he doesn't like to be, in the front.
He
That's
doesn't
why
like attention. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he works behind the scenes. He's really good at it. But we always want to make sure we credit him whenever we get the chance. But anyway, I send the raw files to Dennis, and then Dennis gets back to me with his initial edits, and then I listen to it all the way through. So basically, I'm part of the recording, but then I listen to the edited recording, and then I suggest some final edits to him. Sometimes Nani and I have to do announcements. And so during that week, we schedule time to, insert some announcements. And so by the time it actually comes out, it's taken probably a total of a week or a week and a half to really get it done. Not just the final audio and video file, but the title, the show notes, the marketing. There's a lot that goes behind producing a show. And so what you're all seeing right now on Instagram Live is our pre-recording, but stick around to next Friday because this episode will come out and you'll be able to compare the difference. You'll be like, oh, that's how they cleaned it up, Because if you notice on Instagram Live, we're not playing the theme song of our show because that's gets added after the fact. So anyway, Caitlin, I hope that helps answer your question. And I know that our listeners we're always curious about that. They're like, oh, you guys did a recording today, didn't you? And we're like, sure, wink, wink, like, no, we actually do pre-recordings. And
yeah, I think it would be pretty impossible to record an episode and then get it all edited and published in one day, like on the same day. So just so you guys know, for all podcasts across the board, I don't think anyone does that unless, I don't know. Unless they have a whole team of, well, I guess lots of podcasts do, but you guys get what I'm saying.
So there's a lot of effort that gets put behind putting the show. And if you do appreciate the effort that gets put behind the show and you want to show us your appreciation, we would always love your financial support at buyusboba.com. I just had to do that fun shameless plug in there because I could. All right, moving on.
Yes, that's why we're here.
So because of all of you supporting us on buyusboba.com.
Yes.
Talking about the book club. So the next book club, and I pulled up our latest newsletter, which was provided by Rachel in the chat. So thank you, Rachel, for doing that earlier. Our next book club is going to take place on Friday, November 18th. And it's going to be taking place at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then if you're Mountain or Central time, it's 1 p.m. Mountain time and 2 p.m. Central time. Again, you can get all the details in our latest newsletter and also in the show notes of this episode when it gets released. We are very excited. We just wrapped up Latinos of Asia by Anthony
Ocampo.
Okay, thank you. And I know he had a middle name, Anthony Christian Ocampo. Yeah, I think it's Anthony Christian Ocampo. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Caitlin. And it's a team effort to get all of our notes on screen. So it's all live, y'all.
Talking about preparedness. Yeah.
This is how we prepare. We just pull up stuff as we go. That's our philosophy here. Build as you go. Build things right, not fast. Build as you go. But we're really excited because for the next book, we are going to be welcoming back Dr. Abby on our show. She has been on our show in the past, episode 121. Go ahead and check it out. It's titled Rachel just put the notes in the IG live and put the time zones when we're having. I didn't even know you were still here. Thanks for joining us, Rachel. We appreciate you, Rachel. So anyway, I'm just looking at IG live in case anyone's wondering. But we are going to be reading the book Speak Up and Knock by Dr. Abby. And once again, if you want to learn about her, episode 121 is the episode. It's titled The Bamboo Ceiling Has Partly to Do with Us Because We Hold So Closely to Our Culture. Enhancing Culture in Your Local Community and Practicing Respectful Assertiveness with Dr. Abby Hamilton. And so, as I mentioned early on, Dr. Abby is a 2-time TED Talk speaker. She's a Filipino American psychologist, and she is just amazing on so many levels. And so we are collaborating with her now to read her latest book, Speak Up and Knock. And so I'm actually already on chapter 4, Nani, and reading this book. It's actually a pretty easy read. And the book actually gets into her own study of interviewing nearly 500 Filipino American professionals and how they practice assertiveness in the workplace. Any first impressions, Nani? Did you get a chance to skim through the book yet?
I did not yet, but it is sitting on my kitchen table. So I like to hear that it's an easy read because I think I'm just kind of tired of the really dense academic books that we've been reading. As much as I love that and I want that information, I also like to read things that are maybe just a little easier to digest and speak to a different aspect of our culture. And so I'm really excited to get into. I love that we open this conversation with the talk about imposter syndrome and how we highlighted that in our article on SD Voyager. So I'm excited you guys have to first and foremost check out Dr. Abby's TED Talks before you start the book so that you have some context as to the conversation that we're getting into. But yes, I'm super excited. I love Dr. Abby. I love her energy. I want to soak up any content that she has put out there in the world. So I think that she's a really great contribution to our community, and she has a really, again, digestible way of communicating this information and giving us the language that we need to go forth and conquer the imposter syndrome and feel comfortable taking up this space.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a shout out to our Discord community, which again, for our viewers, if you're listening to this for the first time, our Discord community is free for anyone who enjoys our show and wants to have an ongoing conversation with Nani and myself, as well as our fellow listeners of the show. And so I got to give a shout out to our Discord community because we have an ongoing list of books that we want to read. And there's only so much you can tackle with the time that we're given and reading it together as a group. But Nani and I felt that it was important, considering how the direction of our show now is to support Filipina authorship, Filipina storytellers, in which, again, you can read more about that in our latest media feature on sdvoyager.com. But we felt like it was time to, reconnect with people who've been on our show who happen to be authors. And so Dr. Abby was one of them. And we ran this by our Discord community. So shout out to our Discord community. We asked them for their permission. We're like, hey, this is what we have in mind. This is who Dr. Abby is. This is, her book. These are her TED Talks. Let us know. We want to know from you if you think this is a good read. And so far, Nani, everyone was like, I need this. I need to learn how to be more assertive. Like, I need this for myself. And so that was really the validation we needed to move forward with this. And so this was really a collective effort or a collective decision to move forward with this book. So anyway, if you are interested in being part of our book club, once again, all you have to do is support us on biasboba.com, a minimum of 1 cup of boba, and you will get all the information you need to join our book club. And again, that is going to take place on the third Friday of this month, Friday, November 18th. 12 p.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Mountain time, 2 p.m. Central time, and 3 p.m. Eastern time. All right, Nani, let me see. What else do we have on our list here that we can talk about? Oh, that's right. So a little bit earlier, I hinted at our 5-day reflection series. And since you're already here on Instagram, and if you're hearing about our 5-day reflection series for the first time, basically, this is our way of reinvigorating our Instagram community. Nani and I met because of Instagram, and a lot of our guests came from Instagram. And so we wanted to, come back here, reinvigorate our community, hence why we're doing Instagram Live. And also, we are doing something very special in our DMs, which is our 5-day reflection series. So, Nani, would you like to share with us your experience with the reflection series so far and how people can get involved?
Yeah, it's been really fun I really like the way that Fufi said earlier, or Caitlin to you guys said earlier about this project really being a project, and kind of breaking it into like a scientific formula. We started with our hypothesis and started surveying the community with these signature questions that we used in all of our interviews. And since we've stopped doing those traditional interviews, this is a really nice way to be in community with you guys and still kind of be taking that pulse on the community. And even more so, like being able to hear it directly from your mouth or read it, I guess, directly from your fingertips, whatever. So I just really like the intimate vibes, which is why we chose Discord. It's why we chose Instagram DM for this reflection series specifically. It's why we conduct our interviews in the way that we do when we do them. We always want to give that kind of virtual living room feel.
Mm-hmm.
We never want you to feel like you're joining this like sterile environment where it's supposed to be like so formal. That's not us. That's not our culture. And we really want to convey that in everything that we do and every space that we create for our community. And so it's just really nice to have that direct line of connection with you guys and to be learning and seeing photos of your, childhood and letting you know that there's a space here for your story and that people want to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's been a ton of fun, for people who maybe aren't ready to be on camera or be on the microphone. This is a wonderful, wonderful outlet where we give you 5 days to answer some of our reflection questions. And you don't even have to. We've had people who've been part of the groups so far and haven't said a word, and that's okay. That's completely okay. Like if you feel like you are better off just listening in what other people have to share and you get a lot out of that, that's beautiful. It kind of goes back to what we do in our book club. We like people to come as they are. And if you just want to be a part of the group and, kind of just sit in the back seat and see what everyone else is doing and what they're saying, you're welcome to do that. And so if you want to learn more about the 5-day reflection series, all you have to do is actually private message us or DM us on DM is direct messages in case I just feel like I have to explain that in case people don't know what DM means.
Well, I guess for people on IG Live right now, you don't need to have a definition of that because you're obviously here on Instagram with us. But for the people listening to this episode, yes, that is what that means. If you join us on Instagram, you can direct message, aka DM us for access to this group reflection series.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's just been really fun. Like you said, it's very intimate. And I don't respond every day myself. I kind of respond when I feel like I'm in a reflective mode. And it's really nice to just, check in when even I'm ready. and hear what everyone else has to say, has to share. Some people have even gone as far as sending videos, Nani. Like I send videos just because it's easier,
Yeah.
But the fact that other people are doing it as well tells me that people are feeling really comfortable, like opening up in that way. And it's just such an honor to create that space for them and to welcome them in opening up. And I'm not going to disclose what we've been saying in these groups, but people have really been opening up. And again, it just affirms what we're doing here and how healing this is for all of us to do this in community. So once again, if you are interested, it's free, by the way. I know people love hearing the word free. If you want to be a part of the free 5-day reflection series, all you have to do is direct message us on Instagram. If you go straight on our Instagram bio, you just have to select message and message us and let us know, hey, I'm interested in your 5-day reflection series, and we'll be happy to add you. So usually we start them whenever we have at least like 3 to 5 people interested in them. So this is a great opportunity for you to invite your friends, like if you want to do this alongside with someone you care about. So we definitely have had people in the reflection series so far just invite other people, invite other friends. And for some people, this is going to be their only way they engage with our community. And I'm completely okay with that. You don't have to listen to the podcast to, be a part of these reflection series. However, we can help you with whatever we're offering really means a lot to us. So again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. If you want to learn more or if you want to be a part of the reflection series, go ahead and private message us on our Instagram. Our Instagram handle for our podcast listeners is the Filipino American Woman. Wow, so many updates, Nani.
I know.
I actually think that's it there. So with that said, thank you all so much for joining us on Instagram. Thank you to all the messages. And we hope that you will DM us or direct message us or private message us or message us. You can say it different ways. So I just want to make sure I'm, including everyone who doesn't know what DMs are. Feel free to private message us and we'll be more than happy to, answer any questions you have. Thank you so much for spending your Friday with us. We hope that you had a good week and a great weekend ahead. All right. So Caitlin, any final goodbyes?
She can't hear you.
Okay. Just
Do
tell her
you
to wave
have
at the
any
camera.
final goodbyes?
Yes. Actually, you know what? Who I was looking for? Paulette. Paulette, are you
Oh,
here?
she's not here.
No, she's not
Paulette,
there.
are you? Oh, well, she wouldn't. She's not here, so she wouldn't know. But Paulette, if this message reaches you somewhere, I hope to see you in the book club.
Talk to her on
next
Discord.
Friday.
Talk to her on Discord.
You know how Discord is so intimidating.
Okay.
Okay. We'll message her
Paulette.
for you, Caitlin. How about that? We'll ping her.
I love Paulette's little gems. I want to talk to Paulette.
Yes, we do need to get Paulette on an IG live, actually. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
Paulette, we're coming for you.
Well, to our IG viewers, thank you all so much for joining us. And, we'll catch you in the next episode. Learn more about us at tfaproject.com. That's TFAWproject.com. Or check out all the links in our bio here on Instagram. All right. Love you all. Take care.
Bye.
Chat later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Filipino American Woman Project podcast show.
Do you want to continue to be part of the conversation? Then join our Discord community for free today. Check out the link in the show notes to join us now.
And don't forget to subscribe to our weekly newsletter for the latest show updates and episode releases. The link is also available in the show notes.
Lastly, if you wish to support us on our journey, consider showing us some love on biasboba.com.
That's all for now. Chat with you next time.
Yay!